What's up, everybody? It's Kenny Cummins here. You are chilling with Kenny C right here on tmvcafe.com. Thank you all for joining me on this show. Now, usually I have musicians on the show, wrestlers, cosplayers, but we got a different type of guest this evening. This individual is a writer. He is a film producer. He has his own company called NDO FiLMz. He's been a part of. You can see his work on Netflix, HBO, among other major networks per se. He also got back to the game as well. I'm excited to be joined with Terry Barnes, representing the DC, resided currently at Atlanta, Georgia. He's with me right now. How's it going, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Everything's good. How you been, man?
I'm doing good, man. Great to have you on the show. It's good to switch things up. You know what I mean?
Really,
Get
I
a
appreciate you.
get. I got a well established writer and film producer on this show, and so we'll get into your projects and everything else you have in the works.
Cool.
But obviously, I want to learn about your journey getting into where you are now. So what led you into pursuing a career as a in the producing industry with writing and filming things of that nature?
Well, I guess it started as being a kid and growing up and never really growing up, and you had a good imagination, and I grew up as the only child for a long time, and then I eventually had siblings and stuff that down the road, but as the only child, I always had a good imagination, and I always saw things how I always wanted to create things, and then as I got older, remember they used to have the DVDs where they had the behind the scenes or the making of. And so I used to start watching. I was skip the movie and I would watch the making of, and I would see all the behind the scenes, the folks on the cameras and things like that. So I realized there was a whole nother world to that, but I still never really realized that it was like an actual career type thing or something. What I'm saying, it was just something that I always thought was fun. And then so I eventually went to school and did business, and then I went in the military. But this whole time I'm always having the camera with me. Just filming events and just doing things. Every time we went out to do something, I was the only one with the camera back when we first started having video cameras, the big ones and stuff like that. I was one of the first ones with that. So every time you would have something, I would just kind of, film different things. And it just became a hobby type thing. And then as I got older, I started realizing it was actually a career type thing, but I was never formally introduced to it. You know what I'm saying? So it was just something that I seen, and I started like doing research. And then after I got to Air Force, I started seeing that with schools. Then I used my GI Bill. I was like, well, let me just try something that I really like to do, because by this time I already went to school, I already had been in the military, and I already had regular jobs, but I never felt that fulfillment of something I really like to do and want to get up to do, almost like making music. It's something that you just can't get away from. That's why I always had the camera. So I started researching. I was like, oh man, so actually courses and classes I can take for filmmaking. So I started back on say 2007 when I went to my first school, and I got a associates in digital film, which what I'm saying, which kind of that's when we started going to from filming on tape to like actually digital stuff and little cards and stuff like that. And so I started learning that process. And then later on, I got a bachelor's in film where, up at Full Sail down in Orlando, Florida, where, a lot of people probably know about that just from music and everything like that. So I got my bachelor's there. But like I said, in between time, I started just, just always filming things. And it went from, just hanging out and filming stuff to music videos. Then, as I started more things, then, hey, could you film this event for me, or could you come do this? Or, and that led into photography as well. So I would, kind of cross over from video and photography. And then basically I had one of my friends challenge me, say, you do all this video stuff, why don't you make it where it's actually something? Because I just had footage, and then this is during the time frame where you had live streams in the club, and I had a job where I was just like, artists would perform. I would just be the camera person that would just, project on all the monitors throughout the club. And that was my thing. And then eventually it's like, once you just, edit something, put something together. But I never even thought of editing as, that part of the whole process. I just like filming and doing stuff. And then that's what made me kind of, backtrack to go to school. So that's when I learned like, the whole process of putting these things together, the writing of it and lighting and all these things like that. And then, that's why I kind of took it seriously. But like I said, I guess it was something that I already kind of had. And then once I realized it was a route for it, and then, that's kind of how I got there, that's a
Gotcha.
long answer.
No, it's all good, man. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I see that you served 8 years in
Yes,
the
sir.
Air Force.
Yep.
With
Correct.
and you was part of some F-16 fighter jets, and
Yes.
you also did HR
Mm-hmm.
as well. So first off,
Yes.
man, salute to you.
Hey, I appreciate you.
Um,
Thank you. Thank you.
and thanks to everyone for the service.
Yes.
So respect. Um, and you mentioned so digital filmmaking,
Yeah.
AAS,
Yeah.
and BS in film production
Yeah.
from Full Sail University, which is a very, very popular university, especially in the entertainment industry.
Yes.
So,
Correct.
so yeah, man. So talk about who as far as the film making.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some influences? Who are those that have inspired you, that got you into where you are now? Who, as
Okay.
far as mainstream or maybe some
Right.
independent per se?
Yeah. Well, basically, I said, I start from the beginning. Of course, Spike Lee was one of the originals. So, I'm saying watching like movies like Do the Right Thing, growing up, and then, like I said, once I started exploring, it was a black person that made it, and it was, and I realized, the whole behind the scenes thing. So, I want to say Spike Lee was one, and then branch off him is I want to say Ernest Dickerson, which he was actually Spike Lee's director of photography, but he's actually director, producer now, and he even do stuff like Walking Dead, things like that. So him, and then of course, if you want to take it all the way back, you got James Cameron, just because I'm an independent filmmaker, and even though he's mainstream, one of his sayings, but he did all these things to make enough money to do the movie he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Versus having to go and go to a studio and try to get permission. He said excuse me, say I end up making enough FU money. Whereas like once I decide to write and do the movie I wanted to do, I was able to do it without having nobody trying to tell me how to do that. So, just from being that bold in a time where you pretty much got to go through a system to get your movie done and still be able to take that left lane and then still prove them all wrong. I kind of, like him for that. And like I said, and just like a few, like, you got Ryan Coogler is a new director. As he's Black Panther. He has the new Creed coming out. Folks like that. They inspire me because they're mainstream right now, and I'm saying they're doing the thing. I want to say who else? Yeah, that's like I said, it's pretty much I want to say honestly, every filmmaker that actually get a chance to, do it, what I'm saying? It's almost like it's like sports, what I'm saying? If you get a chance to actually make it and do it and then grow up and still be able to do it, what I'm saying? Because life takes us for that turn and a lot of times we get away from our art. So anybody that's still, having the time and still trying to do it, it was like, okay, I gotta salute them and then, honor them as well because, it's not an easy thing to do. And then, what I'm saying, to step away from the norms of going to college, getting a job, and taking care of your family, doing these things. So pretty much anybody that stepped in that lane and that's successful. And also want to say Jordan Peele. He like I said, he's in the horror, and I'm in the horror lane as well. So, and also it's another director. I think his name is Deion Taylor. I want to say.
Yeah.
He just did the movie Fear just came out, and it's like with Ti, Terrence J, the guy from Power, and like I said, so just people like that. That's and they shot that film during the pandemic, and I was actually shooting the film during the pandemic, and they just put it out. So it just when you see things like that, it just inspires you like keep on keep on moving and keep on pushing no matter what.
Absolutely, man. A lot of names in there. Of course, the OG Spike Lee, who definitely just got a lot of history on his side, just longevity, and still able to make consistency films over the course of his career. He's
Right.
definitely and Karen and so many others just been able to contribute in film work behind the
Right.
scenes, really put a lot of emphasis
Mm-hmm.
on filmmaking for sure. So as I pointed out in the introduction, you are born in DC,
Yep.
raised in North Carolina in a city called New Bern.
Yes, sir.
So you after you got your degrees in Full Sail University, you went on to form a company called FiLMz Productions, and then you made the move to the ATL, Atlanta, Georgia, to go on with your career. Also, talk a little bit about NDO Films and being at Atlanta alongside with that.
Right. Basically, hold on, my dog is acting. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Let me let her. Somebody, my daughter just came back. So
okay, we all for
I'm on
we all for the puppy appearances on the show. You know, even if it's just barking in the background. So it's all good.
Okay. You know, and I'm sorry. Like one more time. What you said? What was the question? One more time.
Oh yeah. So talk about putting together NDO Films.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, like I said, started off. My cousin Jermaine Barnes. He does a lot of producing with me now, and it was just once I started going to school. Like I said, I started learning the business side of things. So I was like, I have to form the actual business because you can do it for fun forever. But then, like I said, as you start learning about LLCs, taxes, and things like that, I was like, let me form an actual business because I started doing like commercials as well. So, and dealing with like the city of New Bern and then just, normal businesses, I had to form the LLC and have the business account to do that. So that's what kind of made me form NDO Films. And then at the same time, with me being a filmmaker, I was able to use that and then create my own film. So like I said, I can make some money from doing these things, and then I can go shoot a short film or, make some money from shooting a music video, and it all can funnel back into the NDO Films thing. So so that's pretty much how it started. Like, back when I went to my first school and was able to start, how the struggling student is, I started hustling, doing videos and photo shoots and things like that. So that's what made me, create the NDO Films LLC and then go from there. And so that's kind of how it all started. And then, like I said, it was just a smart thing to do as I learned, versus just being an artist to like, okay, now I got to learn this business side of things. So that's kind of where we started with that, and trying to keep it going from from to here.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely mentioned LLC. Definitely very important, especially if you're trying to form your own brand and your business and show people, look, I'm investing into this. So I'm not gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So that's good on your part for sure.
Yes.
So you've been in some major studio productions.
Yes, sir.
Like Ozark of Netflix, very popular. And Righteous Gemstones on HBO. So what's that experience like being contributing to both of these series?
It was big, and it's like it kind of goes back to the networking side of things. Once I kind of finished school at Full Sail, one of my instructors, I was actually a work study as well. So they kind of, for the listeners, it kind of sometimes, people say in school, it may not be important, but it's like I said, it depends on what you do with it. And, I use it to learn for sure, but you can learn anything now with YouTube and just, applying yourself. But, networking is what I use it for. So what I did is one of my instructors, once he came to Atlanta, he was like, hey, once you graduate, I got this, working as a lighting tech, doing lighting on set. And he was like, once you come up here, I got some contract type thing. It's not everyday thing, but you can come check it out and see if it's something you want to do. It's something I want to do. So I was like, so once I kind of came up here, I started working, what I'm saying? And it was just, we was on set a couple of days, which that was a good part too, because I would get to be a part of a bunch of productions and not really have to be there for months at a time. I can kind of go there for a couple of days, do the scenes we have to light, and then I can go into the next production. So I got the chance to see a lot of stuff fast versus just kind of seeing how one crew worked. So I was able to like stuff like that, and then we would work on we had Marvel stuff that was in the area, and then a lot of music videos like Drake and different things like that. So it was like going from one set to the next, and then going from Ozark, then you may be going to something that they might be shooting for The Walking Dead or what I'm saying. So it was just a lot of things where it was kind of like fast paced, but at the same time, it kind of gave me experience on seeing how they do it on the major side of things. So that was the main part for me, of course, making the money from the job, but it was actually see how the whole machine works in real life after graduating.
Yeah, just seeing it all unfold and just getting a perspective on things
Right.
like that's a manifestation
Mm-hmm.
aspect to it too, because you're looking at it like I see what they doing out there. That's what I
Right.
want to do. That's
Exactly.
where I want to be at some point. So just definitely look at it as a learning curve for sure. And I'm joined with the extraordinary Terry Barnes, film, TV, movies, music. Um, Definitely a versatile individual. So if you need a music video, he got you. If you need a
Sure.
film, he got you. If you're working on a
Exactly.
he got you. If you're even working on a documentary of sorts, he got you
Right.
as well. So that's the documentary side, the segue. I
Okay.
see you working on Bear County,
Yeah,
uh,
country.
country. Yeah, 10
Yes, sir.
years later, which is
Yes, sir.
currently in production, is a sports docu series
Mm-hmm.
on a high school football team.
Right.
So talk a little bit about Bear Country, man. Talk a
Okay.
little bit about that.
Okay, basically, like I said, Bear Country, we did the original one 10 years ago, which that one was called Bear Country, the series, and and 10 years ago, it was a lot of history being made, and the team went undefeated, and won a state championship. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where we all started, and that was just another thing of me and my cousins just, we always watched these games and went to football games, and we had passes and was able to kind of watch it. And one year, I was just like, man, I kind of want to just get on the field. Like I'm tired of watching from the stands, you know what I'm saying? So, and we ended up able to get on the field. And I was like, I wonder, once I started going to film school, I was just wondering, like, can I actually make a documentary and just, I always was trying to want to do something very different from everybody else. And, so I was just like, I wonder how far I can go and just see how far they would let me. And it was my old high school. I was like, that should be at least a good start. And then we already had a connection with the high school association, the sports association in North Carolina, just from just networking. So we was able to get passes to be able to do that anyway. But then going to the high school at the time, this is years after I graduated and then moved back, and come to find out the principal at the time was my weight training coach, and then and then I walk into the secretary. She was my old bus driver, back in the day. So it was just kind of like, and of course, one of the coaches was one of my mentors for one of the high school frats we had, and one of our coaches. So it was just like everything kind of fell into place. So it just made it so easy for me to do it, and it wasn't an easy process, but it just those parts was kind of taken care of, so I didn't have to worry about that. It was just actually making a movie. So it kind of I feel like God made a way for me to not have no barriers, so I can make a movie versus worrying about can I do it and worrying about is it cool and worrying about the access and all that. So all that kind of happened quickly. Then it was like on to making a documentary, and then again, I love sports and I played high school football and things like that. So it was almost like having fun again, but at the same time, we had a mission of making a documentary, and then we had to make a film as well. So we had to go back and do interviews after the season over with. So it was a process where you don't realize how long it may take, but you got to the whole football season. And then after that, you have ring ceremonies, you got people getting signed, and it depends on how far you really want to take it. And so that's what happened with the first one 10 years ago. So like I said, fast forward to now, it's 10 years ago. So we decided to, let's do it again because, just a lot of historical significance with it. With 10 years later, it seemed like this team may be good again. And it just all kind of like, I'm in Atlanta, but hey, that's, we still have connections because we, some of our family is still there. So it just kind of worked out the same way. And like I said, we end up doing it again with another undefeated season in the state championship 10 years later. So it just kind of was like, this perfect storm for the second time. And like I said, now, like I said, we kind of in the process of just going back to circle around doing interviews, and I'm just kind of picking up on some of the more B-roll because we got all the football stuff out the way. And now we can kind of go back and, mold the story a little bit more with talking to players and parents and, just different people. And then, let it tell the story itself. And so that's kind of where we are right now. So looking at possibly maybe summertime or something like that as far as a release, independently probably, and then we may going to possibly do like a streaming platform. We just kind of play our cards and see how everything fold once we get the documentary done, because we're going to definitely do some screenings and try to do some film festivals, and just try to use all outlets as possible just to get it out there, because the first one we done, it's going to circle people back to that one, and I think it'll just open the doors to independent filmmakers doing these type of projects. And then like I said, it's kind of getting there already, but I think once they see more quality projects like what we're doing, it will make it easier for other folks to come behind and not have to jump through as many hoops, you know what I'm saying, as we have to do right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That had to feel good just getting to reconnect with them for this
Yeah.
follow up and just see how things look back then
Yeah.
compared to now. And just to see that the dominance is still there.
Yeah.
Obviously, like any other team, you're gonna go through adversity. You're gonna go through the expectations, like whether they can pull this off again. So definitely a chance to reconnect and for these players to reminisce what happened back then and what's going on now. So definitely a must watch. Bear Country, 10 years later, coming soon. Be on the lookout for that. Okay. I see the shirt. I see the merch.
Yeah, BC2, we got the merch. Yeah, like I said, that's the second one. It's called BC2 for Bear Country 2. And like I said, we just calling it Bear Country 10 years later. Like I said, the first one was Bear Country, the series. And then the second one is BC2 Bear Country 10 years later. So, that's the, the actual name that we're going to run out with. So, yeah. And, but yeah, like I said, it's just crazy. Like you said, it's to have that happen and then, not have to film a loss is another thing that's kind of crazy to me because every game you go into is like, man, suppose this is the loss, like how everything gonna go, you know what I'm saying, as far as locker room and how people gonna react to everything, and it's just like, I'm just blessed to have it do it 2 times and never have to go through that part of the whole thing, which is crazy.
Absolutely, man. Keeping the sports theme going. Back to the game. I want to talk about that, man. Talk a little bit about back to the game.
Okay, well, like I said, Bear Country back to the big game. In the South, they pretty much call it going to states or the big game. So I just kind of used the play on words as a title. And what I'm saying, since we're New Bern Bears, I was just like, Bear Country. I may have heard it, but I mean, I'm not sure if it was, made it popular there. But now you actually have a sign outside the gym that says Bear Country and things like that. So I think it was something that we may have heard, but it wasn't nothing out there until we did the first documentary. And like I said, back to the big game, it's just like we always been a small team, and it's, we's a 4A division, which is the largest divisions in North Carolina, but we always competed with the big Catholic, institutions and things like that. That was actually, I ain't gonna say they had players flown in, but they was, more like almost like the universities. And New Bern was all really homegrown, you know what I'm saying? And I'm glad you asked that because, 2 guys from my crew this year, they actually was on the team 10 years ago, you know what I'm saying? Like when our 2 of our camera guys, like I said, they actually was on the football team, you know what I'm saying? So that's something, it's like so many stories within this whole thing that, is a blessing to, they still was around and they're following the footsteps as well as doing video photography. And then, was able to link up with them 10 years later and, to have them a part of the crew. It's just like, it's just so many wins across the board for me,
Absolutely, man. So check that out as well. Terry, where can people find you in social media and how can they get in touch with you for maybe a potential film, TV, or booking per se? Where can they find you?
Okay, well, we're doing Instagram, so the Instagram is down right now, but we on Facebook at Terry Barnes. We have the page, which you can see. You find the BC2 page. So anyway, if you get on social media, you can find us through there, and you can inbox through there. Snapchat is Indio Films. Twitter is Indio Films with a Z, and then like I said, and email is indiofilms@gmail. You know what I'm saying? So everything is Indio Films. If you Google it, it'll pop up. You'll probably get some YouTube and show different things. Even the Facebook and stuff might pop up. So you can like I said, you got the email, which is indiofilms@gmail. You got Indio Films on Snapchat, at Indio Films on Twitter, Terry Barnes on Facebook, and then you got the BC2 Bear Country page on Facebook as well. So like I said, any of those means you be able to reach out. Like I said, YouTube, you can comment on some of the videos and stuff that's up there. It's like I said, nowadays, which is a blessing. It's a million ways to reach out to people nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, Terry, It's good having you on the show this evening.
I
You
appreciate you.
definitely have so much on your plate
Yeah.
with these projects that you're working on. You're definitely on the right path. Check out NDO Films. That's films with a Z at the end. On Twitter, on social media, and check them out on the Bear BC2 Facebook
Mm.
fan page.
Yes, sir.
Get you updated on that as well. And Terry Barnes is on Facebook as well. So book this man. Keep this man busy. He's got a lot
Yes, sir.
going on already, but
Right.
he's willing to be even more busy. So book this
Yeah.
man. Got
Yes, sir.
TV, film, docu series, music
All that.
video, just filming
Everything.
in general. What if you
Right.
need your story to be told? He got you.
Yep.
Great,
Exactly.
great to have you on the show this evening. Thank you for your time. Continued success for the rest of this year moving forward. Thanks again, man.
Okay. I appreciate it. And again, I want to apologize for the interruption. I want to show you this is the interruption right here.
All
She
right,
wants to
yeah,
be
yeah. We
she
we
wants to
we.
be in all kind of stuff, so I want to, so all the listeners, y'all can blame Princess. She's the
Princess.
one that's making the
Okay.
noise.
Hey,
But
we
like I say, man, I want to say thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate the exposure. I appreciate, you guys, what you're doing. Keep grinding, and this girl crazy. And like I say, I'm just thankful to be a part of it.
well appreciate you, man. You go ahead and enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks again.
All right, thank you as well too. You have a good weekend as well, and be safe as well. All right.
All right, bye bye.
All right, bye now.
All right.
Yeah.